A lot of conversations between men are just quiet competitions over who seems the most unaffected. You can feel it immediately in group settings. Somebody mentions they've been working 12-hour days. Another person casually says they've been surviving on 4 hours of sleep. Everybody laughs like exhaustion is somehow impressive. Nobody says, that actually sounds miserable. Because the room isn't rewarding honesty, it's rewarding composure. That's the strange part. A lot of social interaction has nothing to do with connection anymore. It's positioning. Who sounds successful? Who sounds emotionally unaffected? Who sounds confident without trying too hard? Who looks like they're handling life correctly? You can watch people adjust themselves in real time around it. Straightening posture when somebody successful walks in, speaking more carefully around high status people, laughing slightly louder at certain jokes, acting less enthusiastic about things once the group decides they're uncool. Most of this happens automatically. That's what makes it dangerous. People start adapting socially before they even realize they're performing, especially men, because men learn early that uncertainty changes how people listen to you. You can hear it happen. One guy says, I don't really know what I'm doing right now. The energy changes immediately. People either joke to relieve the tension or start talking to him more carefully. A lot of men notice moments like that once, then never fully forget them, so eventually they adapt. Their answers become tighter, more controlled, more composed, not because they feel secure, because emotionally neutral men get treated more safely socially. You can watch this happen in real time. The guy who sounds uncertain gets interrupted more. The guy who sounds emotionally affected gets joked on faster. The guy who sounds calm gets listened to longer. Most men notice those rules without anybody explaining them. After a while, and people stop asking, what do I actually feel? Now it becomes, what version of me survives best in this room? A lot of socially skilled people are just highly adapted to invisible hierarchy. You can see it most clearly in conversations about ambition. Somebody says they're trying to level up. Everybody nods immediately like they understand exactly what that means. Nobody asks, do you even enjoy your life right now? Because enjoyment has lower social value than discipline now. That shift changes people quietly. You start sounding ambitious before you even know whether you actually care anymore. You notice men speaking about themselves like brands, talking about productivity, status, optimization, leverage. Meanwhile, half the room looks emotionally exhausted. Nobody wants to be the first person to drop the performance. That's why so many conversations feel strangely empty now. Everybody's presenting, very few people are actually relating. Or you can feel yourself adapting to this constantly. Downplaying confusion before someone mistakes it for weakness. Turning stress into humor before the room gets uncomfortable. Acting more certain than you really are because certainty keeps interactions smooth. People get rewarded for this constantly. After enough years, performance stops feeling like performance. It starts feeling like personality. The emotionally controlled version of you gets respected faster. The composed version gets listened to more. The detached version looks higher status. So naturally, people start building personalities around emotional safety. That's where things shift. Eventually you realize some people around you only know your socially optimized self, not the real one. The version that knows exactly how to sound capable, exactly how to stay calm, exactly how to avoid looking emotionally needy. That version usually gets rewarded socially. Some conversations aren't connection, they're mutual status management. You can feel this most during male group conversations. Everybody waiting for the right moment to speak. Trying not to sound ignorant, trying not to sound weak, trying not to sound behind in life. Even body language changes. People sit differently around confidence, talk faster around successful people, laugh harder when someone high status makes a joke. Almost nobody acknowledges this openly, because everyone wants social dynamics to feel natural, even when they're clearly negotiated. That's why certain people feel strangely calming to be around, not because they're charismatic, because they stop forcing everybody to perform constantly. You notice it immediately, your shoulders relax more, your answers become less rehearsed, silence stops feeling threatening. Most people rarely experience that anymore. Work, dating, friend groups, even casual conversations, everything starts feeling emotionally evaluative, everybody's scanning for where they stand socially. That pressure changes people physically over time. Shorter answers, tighter facial expressions, less emotional risk-taking, more controlled reactions. Some people adapt by becoming hyper-composed, measured tone, careful wording, minimal emotional exposure. They become extremely difficult to read socially, and other people quietly stop competing altogether, smaller circles, less interest in status games, less need to impress every room they enter. Not because they became antisocial, because they got tired of interactions feeling like low-level performances all the time. Both responses usually come from the same exhaustion. The exhaustion of constantly being perceived. A lot of men aren't emotionally closed off. They're socially trained to treat vulnerability like a status risk. You can see how deep this goes when somebody accidentally becomes honest. Not performatively honest, actually honest. Admitting they feel lost, or disconnected, or unsure whether they even want the life they're chasing. The room reacts immediately. Some people get visibly uncomfortable. Some people suddenly respect them more. Some people change the subject almost instantly, because honesty disrupts social positioning. It forces people out of performance mode for a second. That moment reveals more about a group than almost anything else. Some people slowly reconnect with themselves by risking smaller moments of honesty again. Not dramatic honesty, just less performance, saying "I don't know" faster. Not pretending every plan feels meaningful, letting conversations stay real for an extra few seconds before turning everything into jokes again. Other people reconnect differently. They become more selective about which environments deserve performance at all, who actually feels safe, who only respects competence, who makes conversations feel human instead of strategic. Neither response looks dramatic externally. Usually it just looks like someone becoming calmer socially, less eager to dominate rooms, less desperate to sound impressive, less addicted to seeming emotionally unaffected. But internally, something massive changes, because eventually you realize something uncomfortable. If every interaction teaches you to become a more socially optimized version of yourself, then after enough years you stop knowing whether people actually value you, or just the version of you that learned how to survive hierarchy well. Eventually you realize some people never met the relaxed version of you. And after enough years of adapting to invisible hierarchy, even genuine connection starts feeling unfamiliar.